Okay. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. So today we are going to start a new chapter, inshallah. It's about how to store the tables in the disk. Because disk is the most used one up to now. Yani, so we always store our data for disk. Yani, our tables, there is the disk. How are they stored in the disk? So we will have a look at 3 ways of storing the disk. First of all, given a table, let's say it has a lot of rows, how do we store it? 3 ways to store it. We can store it in heap way, which is the most popular one. هتكلم عنه. Heap. معناتها unordered. We don't order anything. We just store it. Or we can have a sequential way. We sort of, first of all, we sort them maybe by ID, one of the columns, يعني, and then we store them sorted. يعني. This is called sequential way. So this is the second way how we store the tables in the disk. Now the third way is by hash. You already know hash. You have taken hash in ICS 202. صحيح يا شباب؟ Hashing. So in the next 2 classes and also in this class, I'm going to talk about a heap, sequential, and hash inshallah. طبعا in hash عندنا نوعين من hash. I'll talk about them later on inshallah. We don't have to talk about them now. Okay. So these are the 3 things. So I'm going to start with heap, then I'm going to start sequential, then I'm going to start hash. But before that, I need to explain disk. مهم جدا to understand what disk looks like. يعني. I'm talking about hard disk here mainly. يعني. So let me start by first of all talking about hard disk, because our data is in hard disk most of the time. And then after I explain for you what disk looks like, then I'm going to explain for you how we save our table in the disk using heap way, then using sequential way, then at the end using hash way. So this is our objective بتاعت الشابتر هذا. How to store data in a disk. Is this clear يا شباب? Is this clear for you? First of all, let me start with disk in that case. So this is chapter 16, and you, from your textbook, you have to read section 1, section 2, section 6, section 7, section 8, and section 9. So I'm going to start by explaining, first of all, the secondary storage, which is a disk. يعني. There is something called buffering technique and blocks. I'll talk about that one. How do we put the records in the disk? You know, you remember the table has many records. So how do we put each record in the disk? يعني? Then what are the different operations on files, which you already know. I'll talk about that one. Then I'll talk about heap files. Then I'll talk about sorted files, which is sequential file. At the end, I'm going to talk about hash files. Okay, the one I just described, and these 3. The heap, the sequential, which is ordered. This is hash. Heap معناتها unordered. Sequential معناتها ordered. Hash, you know, it is done using hash algorithm. We'll talk about that one later on. So let's start. First of all, we use a disk. Disk storage devices. If you look at your hard disk, okay, let me show you your hard disk. Okay, sorry. If you look at your hard disk, okay, your hard disk, which looks like this, if you open it, okay, so your hard disk it looks like a lot of what? A lot of CDs put together. يعني. So, for example, this looks one CD, another CD, another CD, another CD, another CD. Do you know CD يا شباب?
Yes. Of course, yes.
Okay, I don't know. لأنه جيلكم تقريبا I don't think you are using CDs anymore. I think you are using flash memory, صحيح?
Yes.
عشان كده في جيلنا CD was very popular يعني, but I hope still you remember some of them when we were very young يعني. So these are called CDs. So a hard disk is simply a collection of CDs, okay? We don't call them CDs when they are inside a hard disk, we call them platter. So this is one platter, another platter here, another platter here, another one here, and another one here. So we have 4 platter, 5 platters here, sorry. So simply a hard disk, HD, is a collection of a number of platters مع بعض together. So I'm going to talk about hard disk a little bit now, about the hardware of hard disk يعني. So it is a preferred secondary storage يعني. تقريبا if you look at all the PCs up to now, or a lot of computers, there is no one with a hard disk يعني. There is no one without a hard disk يعني. Everyone, every computer, every PC, every laptop, تقريبا all of them, they have a hard disk now. Little by little we are moving from hard disks, but up to now it's the dominant one يعني. A disk pack contains several magnetic disks, as I told you here. So this is a magnetic disk, another disk, another disk, another disk. A hard disk is simply a collection of a lot of magnetic disks يعني. Now disks are divided into concentric tracks. So what he is telling you is every disk, look for example at this disk. This disk, it's divided into circles. There are circles here. I'll show you inshallah بعد شوية. There are many circles here. They are concentric circles. Many circles here. The same thing on the second one, the same thing on the third one, and so on and so on. So I can have thousands of circles here يعني. So each platter or each disk is divided into thousands of circles يعني. So if there are 1,000 circles here, there are also 1,000 circles here, 1,000 circles here, 1,000 circles here, and 1,000 circles here. They are identical يعني. So each of these disks are identical يعني. Let me show you an example of a disk. This is one disk, no, one platter, and this is a circle يعني, but this is just one circle, but there are many circles يعني. Many circles here يعني. And so on. Now, the information that you store in the disk are stored in these circles. So these circles, this is where you store your information or your table or your data or your program, whatever you are saving in the disk. So every file that you save, it is saved in this, what they call circles. We call these circles tracks. So this is one track, this is another track, another track. So one CD can have thousands of tracks. Any question about what a track is, ya shabab? Okay. So if that is clear, in one CD, we have two surfaces. I have the upper surface and I have the lower surface. In fact, you can store information on the upper side of the CD and on the lower side of the CD. So if you can flip this CD, you can see the lower part of it. So in fact, we don't save information only on the top of the CD, but also on the bottom of the CD. So both ways, okay? Both ways we store information into it. So we can double the information. So we call this one a surface. We call also the other one a surface. So we have the top surface of a CD and we have the bottom surface of the CD. So we store our information on the bottom and on the top of the CD.
So it's not like regular CDs.
No, even regular. Yeah, you're right. Not like regular CDs. You're right. Now there are only one-sided CDs, and there are also two double-sided CDs. The one on the hard disk, you are right. It's the double-sided CDs. You're right. You're right. Okay. Now, track capacity vary. Okay, typically from 4 to 50 kilobytes. Don't worry about it. In one track, how many kilobytes?
Okay. No, so I said this for one CD. Okay, sorry.
No, just one track. One CD can have thousands of tracks. I'm just talking about one circle, one track. It contains from 4 to 50 kilobytes. Even more nowadays. This was a little bit old probably. Now, a track is divided into small blocks. So a track is divided into sectors. لو شفت التراك, it's divided into sectors. Sector. طبعا this is one track يا شباب, but a CD has many tracks. This is maybe another track. Sorry, السيركل حقتي. So this is also divided into sectors. So tracks are divided into sectors. So what I am saying is simply is the following. Okay, let me clean this. Okay, so this is a disk. A disk has many CDs, okay? So I have CD number 1, CD number 2, another CD number 3, and CD number 4. Each CD we can record on both sides of the CD. Now, each CD again is divided into tracks, many tracks. Also, this one is divided into tracks, 1,000 tracks, each CD. So let's say this is track number 1, track number 2, track number 3, and so on and so on. Yani. Now each track is divided into what? Into sectors. Sector number 1, sector number 2, sector number 3, and so on and so on. Yani. Okay, let me show you a picture of a sector. So for example, okay, so I don't know if I have a better, okay, this is a sector. This is one sector. It's not clear, but a sector simply is just one part of a track. So is that clear, what a sector means? What a track means? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now, in fact, if you look at this here in this CD, I can show you this is one sector of one of the tracks. This is another 2 sectors of the next track. This track has 3 sectors in it. I don't know whether it's clear for you. You can see the sectors in it. Now, each sector تقريبا it can store up to 256 bytes. 256 bytes. So, as I told you, a CD contains many tracks. And each track contains many sectors. And each sector contains around 256 bytes. And every sector is numbered, and every track is also numbered. So they have addresses. And every CD is also numbered. So the CD is numbered, the tracks are numbered, and the sectors within the track are also numbered. So we have numbers for them. In fact, this is the address of each one of them. Okay, so coming back again to this. So a track is divided into smaller sectors. I'll talk about a block, inshallah, later on. Let's not forget about the block now. The division of a track into sectors is hard coded. You cannot change that one. When you buy the CD, it's already hard coded. Khalas. Okay, so when I go to Jarir and buy a hard disk, khalas, already the tracks are already there and the sectors are already there. They are already in the hardware. They call this one low-level formatting. So they are already formatted in low level. A track is divided into blocks. I will talk about what a block is, inshallah, بعد شوية. So let's forget about a block for now. Now, let me come to a block. Simply what a block is simply means a number of sectors, maybe 4 sectors or 8 sectors or 16 sectors. We call them one block. So one block can be 1 sector, or it can be 2 sectors, or it can be 4 sectors, or it can be anything 2 to the power of n sectors, or 8 sectors and so on. We call them a block. So you decide how big is your block. So when you do the formatting of your hard disk, then you say, okay, let's make maybe 1 sector equals to 1 block. Or you can say 2 sectors equals to 1 block. Or you can say 4 sectors equals to 1 block. So this you decide. So what a block means to you. فهمت علي? So you will buy them already sectored and already tracked, but the blocks you do them. So we call this one high level formatting. So sectors and tracks are low level formatting. So they buy them, they are from the Jarir, so they are already there. You cannot change them. But after you buy them, you can make another formatting. And in that format, you decide how big is your block. So you can make it 1, you can make it 2, you can make it 4, you can make it 2 to the power of n. And I will discuss about this one, inshallah, later on. So any question, ya shabab? Very good. So let me give you a simple question now. If you don't ask a question, I will ask you a question. Okay. Okay, let me ask you a question. This is my question. Let me open مثلا PowerPoint. Okay, let's assume I have the following information. I don't know whether you can see me or not. Can you see this clearly, Shabab?
Yes.
Yes.
PowerPoint.
Very good. Suppose I have a disk, okay? I have a disk. It contains the following information. I have, okay, the disk. It has 1,000 tracks. I have 100 sectors per track. It it has, sorry, before that one, has 10 CDs, okay, or platters نسميها معاه مشكلة. Platters, 1000 track per platter. 100 sectors per track and 256 bytes per sector. How big is my disk? What is the capacity of my disk, Shabab?
Just multiply them.
Yes, multiply them.
Multiply them, exactly. So multiply 10 times 1000 times 100 times 256. You agree with me, Shabab, or la?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. What about if I tell you these platters are double-sided?
You multiply by 2.
Two.
Multiply by 2. Excellent. Double-sided. Multiply by 2. Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Okay.
But Doctor, when we get the bytes, we can convert it to gigabytes or megabytes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Later on, and of course, because there will be too many bytes. Yeah, right. So you convert them to megabytes or to gigabytes or to terabytes. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. I agree with you. Okay. So that we understand this. Let me understand one, which is cylinder. What is a cylinder? A cylinder is a logical thing. It's not a physical thing. Yeah. Suppose this is my hard disk. Suppose this is my first CD, my second CD, my third CD, my fourth CD. Let's say my hard disk contains 5 platters, 5 CDs. So this is my hard disk. طبعا as I told you, hard disk are, so CDs are divided into what قلنا يا شباب?
Tracks.
Into tracks. Very good. Into tracks and so on. Now let me explain for you. So this is CD number 1, CD2, CD3, CD4, CD5. Assume I have 5 CDs. Now this track is the first, track number 1 is the outermost one. Track number 1 is this one in CD1, track number 1 in CD2, track number 1 in CD3, track number 1 in CD4, and track number 1 in CD number 5. This is track number 2, track number 2, track number 2, track number 2, track number 2. The last one, which is the inner one, the inner track, let's say it's track 1000, track 1000, track 1000, track 1000, track 1000. So this is if I have 1000 tracks per what? Per platter. فاهمين يا شباب عندي? Now, if the number of tracks in the first platter is 1000, then it is also the same in the second. They have to be identical. Now, track number 1 in CD1 and in CD2 and in CD3 and in CD4 and in CD5, we call it cylinder number 1. So cylinder number 1 simply means it looks like a cylinder, صحيح؟ انت اخذت cylinders, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So if you take a track, هذا خذها track هذه مش ما تاخذها ما تعتبرهاش يعني this track. And track number 1 هنا وتراك نمبر 1 في اللي بعده وتراك نمبر 1 في اللي بعده وتراك نمبر 1 في اللي بعده وتراك نمبر 1 في اللي بعده. Now this track plus this track plus this track plus this track مع بعض كلهم نسميهم cylinder number 1. So if I have 1000 tracks يا شباب per platter, how many cylinders do I have in the disk?
1000.
Very good. I will have only 1000 cylinders in this. So the number of cylinders is equal to the number of tracks in a platter, in one platter. Why? So ايش الفرق بين التراك والسلندر يا شباب الحين؟
Track is per platter.
Very good. Track is per platter. أما cylinder is per
disk. Per disk.
Exactly. Yes. So very good. So per disk معناته ايش؟ Always track number 0, track number 0, track number 0, track number 0, track number 0. في السيدي كله نسميها مع بعض cylinder number 0. So when I tell you cylinder number 0, it's automatically have to understand it is the track number 0 in each and every CD اللي عندك. Track cylinder number 1 اللي بعده. Cylinder number 2 اللي بعده, and so on and so on يعني. So cylinder is a logical thing, okay? It's a logical thing. So you should just understand it. Okay, so now let me tell you here. I have a disk, I have 10 platters, double-sided. I have 1000 tracks per platter. I have 100 sectors per track. I have 256 per sector. How many cylinders do I have?
1000.
Just 1000, which is equal to the number of tracks معي ولا per platter معي ولا exactly 1000. Exactly 1000. Okay, so understand what a cylinder is. Now,
Doctor,
yes, please.
does the platter has to be identical or the platter?
Yes, they have to be identical per hard disk.
Okay.
Yes, good question, excellent. Now let me give you another question. Let's assume that I have a block. Each block is equals to 4 sectors. So how many bytes do I have per block?
You have to divide the number of bytes, total number of bytes.
Can this give you an idea? How many bytes do I have per sector? 256, eh?
Yes.
So each block is equal to 4 sectors. So how many do I have?
Times 4.
Times 4, yes, very good, excellent. So I will have times 4, which is 1024, I think, Sahih?
Yes.
Okay, 1020, which is 1K, yani, okay? So each block is equal to 1. Why do we care about a block? The reason we care about a block is each time you read something from a hard disk, you read a block, ya shabab. You don't read a one sector, you read a block. So a block is a unit of transfer between the memory and the hard disk. So each time I say read in Java or in Microsoft Word, whatever it is, each time I read a file, they come block-wise. So they come a block, and each block is the unit of transfer between the memory and the disk. فهمت يا شباب?
But it is limited to the power of the read of the computer, right? So you cannot put a block with like 3000 or...
No, you can. You can put whatever you want a block. It's up to you. You can make a block equals to 4 sectors. You can make a block equals to 100 sectors. If I have 128 sectors or 1024 sectors, that's fine. So you can make it 64 megabyte blocks. You can make it 1 megabyte block. You can make the 1K block. It's up to you because you are going to format it. So when you format it, you will say, okay, my block is equals to 4 sectors and so on. Or you just take the default one automatically. فهمت يا شباب? But when you read and when you write into the disk, always you write a block or you read a block. You cannot read a 1 byte or you write 1 byte. ما ينفعش كده. So always, whenever you write something into the disk, in fact, you might not even know it, but what happens is the operating system, it will collect all the information in blocks and then it will write them to the disk by block wise. It doesn't write them by byte wise. فهمت يا شباب? Okay. From now, okay. Any question before I continue? Okay. So from now onwards, I'm going to draw a hard disk. مش بالطريقة هذه. Okay. Before I do that, let me explain for you. شايفين الهارد disk هذا? So this is one platter, one CD, another platter, another platter, another platter, another platter, another platter. معي ولا إيه؟ How do we read and write into the disk? To read and write in the disk, you need this head. شايفين هذا؟ زي بتاعت الأغاني. I don't know شفت الCDs بتاعت الأغاني. I'm not sure, maybe in the way. Okay, so this, this one here, this is the one who reads and who writes in the tracks. هذا نسميها read write head. We have also read write head here. We have also read write head, and read write head يعني. So this is from this platter, 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 this is from this platter يعني. And if we have double-sided, then we have from bottom, one from bottom, one from up يعني. So we call this one an arm. So each arm contains a hidden read and write head يعني. This is another arm, another arm, another arm, another arm, another arm. So if I have 10 CDs, then I will have at least 10 arms. And if they are double-sided, they will be 20 arms. هل هذا واضح يا شباب ولا ما واضح؟
These are all technologies, right?
Still no, they are still using this one. Even now, they are still in this one. This is a لو اشتريت الديسك حقك انت طبعا I'm not talking about flash memory. Flash memory are totally different. I'm talking about a hard disk. So in your computer, do you have a hard disk ولا ما عندك؟ عندك صحيح؟
Of course.
Automatically this is what you have. Now this is called the read-write head يعني. So at the end of each arm you have a read-write head. Now these arms they move together. They are always in the same cylinder. What I mean by that is if this is in track number 0, then this is also in track number 0, also in track number 0, also in track number 0. So all these 20 or 10 arms, they move together. They are مشط they move together into the same cylinder. They are always in the same cylinder. هل هذا واضح يا شباب؟ Okay. Is this point clear ولا لا؟
Clear.
Yeah, very good. So always the arms are in the same cylinder. They are all either they are in cylinder number 0, or they are all in the cylinder number 1, or they are all in cylinder number. They cannot be in different cylinders. That's how they work يعني. Let me show you what they look like physically يعني. خليني أوريكم الصورة. شايفين هذا؟ هذا هو read write head هذا هو.
Yes.
So if they move together كده. In fact, they move like this one. They don't move يعني. They move like this one. Okay, they don't move like this one. Okay. Let me see. Okay. So this is how they move يعني. Okay. And give me a minute. Okay, if you don't mind, give me a minute. I will come back. Give me a minute. I will come back. معلش.
Take your time.
Thank you. Okay, sure. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to show you something. I'd like to show you. Look at this one. This is a hard disk. Okay, so we will show you the inside the hard disk now.
Sir?
So let's go quickly. These are the CDs. And this is the head. This is the arm. This is the one who reads. This is the one which reads and writes. You cannot see the tracks. Difficult to see the tracks. Now let's forget that. I'll show you quickly what we need for the course. And you can look at it yourself on YouTube. And let me show you when it's working. So it's reading now. Now it's reading right. You should have that. This is look, it's going from different parts to different parts.
Yes.
But they are in the same cylinder, okay? There are 4 of them in this case, or I don't know, maybe 4 of them. But it's reading and writing now. Look, it's reading. moves between the different tracks. So this is where the head is tied. Okay, I think that's enough. Okay, Meshabab. So this is how it looks like, and this is the one I just showed you. So it moves like this one. So it goes from one track to another track, because your information of your table that you are going to store, it's going to be in different tracks, not in the same track. So it will go from one track to another track. Now let me explain for you the 3 types of movements that are done when this one. Now let me just show you one thing here. Let's assume the following. Let's assume this is your CD, one of the CDs, okay? I'm not going to show all the CD, just one of the CD. So this is a CD, and it has many, many tracks. Let me just assume we have 5 tracks. Track number 1, the red ones are tracks, معلش. Track number 2. Track number 3. Let's just make 4 tracks. Track number 4. And the tracks are divided into different what? Different sectors. The same thing also, this one also divided into different sectors. Also this one is divided into different sectors. Now the head moves, okay, between the tracks. So the information that you store for your table is stored in these tracks, okay? So in these sectors. Now what we do is, now when the head moves from this track to this track to this track, زي ما شفتوه قبل شوي you have seen that it moves like this one. So معناته it's reading information from what? From the different tracks. But at the same time, this is also rotating يا شباب. This is rotating very fast. In fact, it rotates around 7,200 revolutions per minute. تقريبا يعني. Okay, so this is moving like going in circles. And this one is what? And this one is the head is moving from the different tracks. So what will happen is, if you want to read information which is here, if you have information here, if you want to read it, which is something in this, first of all, this has to rotate. Suppose the arm is here. First of all, the arm must come into the right into the right track. It must move to the right track. Then we have to wait until this information which is here rotates and comes under the arm, then we read it. Is this clear for you, Shabab?
Clear.
Yes.
And this example we saw in the video,
yes.
There was one arm, right?
Yes.
So one platter in that example.
We cannot see all the arms, but there were many arms, but we just saw one, only the top one.
So
okay.
There might be another arms.
No, I'm sure there are. There are many CDs. هو كان عنده أظن شو, I think he tried to show us 2 CDs. Okay, so at least there are 2 arms, one for each one. Okay, and if he's using, for example, if he's using a double side, there are 4 of them. Okay, but they are always together. They are in the same cylinder. عشان كده لو تشوفوا الفوق التحت ما تقدر تشوف, because they go together.
In parallel, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So they are always in the same cylinder. This is what I'm saying. Okay. Now, also, did you see this was rotating? سمعتوه? It was rotating, صحيح?
Yes.
So this was rotating. It was rotating, and the arm moves like this. Okay, only like this in one side, in one direction فقط كده. In one line only one line. هذا يمكن أنا أعمل لاينات كثيرة So what happens is you move it to the right track first. Then you wait for the right sector to come, then he will start reading the head. So the head has to wait until the right sector comes to it, or the right block. Maybe if your block is 2 sectors, then it will start from this and so on. So what I am saying in short is the following. معلش until I'm not sure. So I have a CD which has, let's say, 3 tracks, track number 1, track number 2, and track number 3 مثلا. And each track is divided into sectors. Okay, and each sector contains 256 bytes, and so on. And this is rotating 7,200 تقريبا. Most of them they rotate by 7,200 revolutions per minute. RPM. Okay. Now, if I want to read, there has to be. Let's say I want to read the information which is here. I want this information. I'm only interested in this information. This is where my table is. When I wrote a select statement, the row that I want to read is in here. So what will happen is the following. Don't forget, this is rotating. So first of all, the arm must go into the right track. Which one is the right track? This track. So it will stay here. Then when this one rotates and comes underneath it, when this one reaches here, then it will start reading. Otherwise, it will not start reading. Then it will get you the information that you want. Who controls this one? The operating system controls this one. The Windows operating system or Unix operating system controls this one. Okay, Shabab? And inshallah, in a course called operating system at your 431, you will take all that information, how it works, what's done, because 431 is about the operating system. So they will tell you about this one. But for now, is this clear for you, ya Shabab?
Yes, it's clear. But Doctor, I have a question.
Yes.
How does the hard disk know where to read?
Exactly.
The information.
That's operating system. الاوبريتنج سيستم عندنا في الاوبريتنج سيستم كورس نضيع فيه يمكن حوالي 3 أيام تقريبا في الموضوع هذا عشان اشرح لك هذه المشكله هذه. فهمت قصدي؟
Okay. Yeah.
So inshallah, wait a little bit. Inshallah, when you take 431, it will be clear for you. Inshallah.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah. Now there are 3 kinds of movements if you want to read something which is here. Can you tell me what are the 3 movements? The movement of the arm to go to the right place, eh?
Yes, and the disk to rotate.
Then the movement, the disk will rotate in the ones I don't want. Because, for example, I want only this part. Eh? I don't want this part. So I have to wait, the waiting until this one comes under the head. And the third movement is the movement when I am really reading actually the data. خلاص أنا وصلت السيكتور اللي أنا عايزها. Either I am reading from that or I am reading that one. I am doing something important. So there are 3 movements. 2 of them are, first of all, the first movement is to move to the right track. Now, once you reach the right track, you don't have to start reading. You have to wait for what, ya Shabab? Let's say I move the arm. I want to read it from this. This is what I want to read. Let's say the arm was, maybe it was not here. Maybe it was somewhere else first. So first of all, I have to move the arm into the right track. Are you with me, Shabab, or لا?
Yes.
So once the arm moves, انت شفت الارم في الفيديو اللي وريتكم كيف الارم moves from one track to another track. شفتوه انتوا صحيح؟
Yes.
So first of all, you have to wait until the arm moves into the right track. Once it moves into the right track, it has to wait there until what, Shabab? Until the data, because I don't want the whole track. I just want a sector from the track.
Sector.
So I have to wait. So there is a waiting until the right track, until the right sector comes. معي ولا إيه؟ بعد ما وصلت على التراك, I still have to wait. So this is another waiting يعني. So I have to wait. After that one, I will start reading. When the right sector comes underneath the arm, then the reading will start. Otherwise, there is no reading. So during this, there is no reading. During waiting, there is no reading. Only during the right one. When the track, when the sector that I need comes under the arm, then the arm will start reading for me. Who controls that one? The operating system. It knows exactly what you want to read. Is this point clear ولا مش clear يا شباب?
Clear.
Very good. Now this movement, moving the arm into the right track, هذا نسميها seek movement. It's called the seek movement. The waiting here نسميها rotational delay. نسميها rotational latency. So simply means wait. So rotational latency. Rotational latency. Latency معناته waiting. You are just waiting. You are doing nothing يعني. إذا arm خلاص وصل محله but you are still not reading because your sector is not underneath. وهذه نسميها transfer time. خلاص, this is transfer time. So this is rotational latency time معناتها waiting time, this is seek time, and this is transfer time. تي كتبتها معايا ولا يا شباب؟ So the most important is the transfer time. Now, if you look at this, I have already written them for you. Oh, what is it? Sorry. I thought I have the 3 movements. They are written somewhere. Okay. I'm sure I wrote them. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, it doesn't matter. So these are the 3 movements to read. So that's the hard disk in short. That's all I want you to know for now. I don't want you to know more. Okay. So to read, you need a seek time. What does that seek time mean? Move the arm into the right, what ya shabab?
Sector.
Sector.
No.
Block.
Track.
Track.
No, sorry.
You have to move the arm into the right track. هذه نسميها seek movement, صحيح? Then once we reach the right track, we don't start reading على طول. We have to wait until the sector comes underneath the arm. معي ولا إيه؟
Yes. Rotational latency.
That's the rotational latency. So you have to wait. معي ولا إيه؟ Then once the sector that you want reaches, then you start reading. هذا نسميها إيش reading time؟ هذا نسميها إيش؟ or writing time نسميها transfer time. معناته إيش؟ if you want to read something from a disk, you have to wait for the seek time plus the rotational latency time plus the transfer time. لازم تستنى هذه لغاية ما يجيك المعلومات من الديسك. Now, which one do you think takes more time? Do you think the seek takes more time, or the rotational latency, or the transfer time?
The transfer.
طبعا شوف السيك يعتمد على ايش؟ يعتمد على السبيد بتاعت من؟ بتاعت الارم، صحيح؟ تكون سريعه تكون احسن، وتكون بطيئه نتاخر، صحيح ولا لا؟
Yes.
روتيشنال ليتنسي يعتمد على مين؟ روتيشنال ليتنسي يعتمد على ايش؟ على الروتيتر. في عندنا واحد روتيتر هنا بسموه سبيندل. هذا ما شرحت لكم اياه، شفت هذا؟ هذا العمود، هذا العمود، هذا بنسميه سبيندل. هي روتيتس، فيعتمد على السرعه حق هذا. كل ما بقى سريع معناته الروتيشن ليتنسي حيكون بسيط، والترانسفير حيكون سريع كمان، لانه الروتيشن ليتنسي والترانسفير تايم يعتمد على مين؟ على هذا. اما the seek time really depends on this movement of this arm. نسميه actuator movement. معناته لو بقى سريع then we can reach the track very quickly. لو بقى بطيء معناته will take time to reach the track. So which one do you think is faster? Do you think this is faster or this is faster? In fact, let me tell you, this is the one which is very slow. هذا seek times movement is slow. اللي شفتوها الحين في الفيديو I showed you the seek movement, the moving of the arm from one track to another. شفتوه قبل شوية, and that one we call it the seek movement. So seek movement takes a lot of time. That's why hard disk we don't like it. يتأخر بالمرة hard disk يعني. To get something from a file from a hard disk takes a lot of time, and we call that one a seek movement. Do you know what I mean يا شباب؟
Yes.
So the hard disk يتأخر ليش؟ يتأخر because of this, because هذا السبب. هذا الارم هذا يتأخر لغاية ما يتحرك كده يتأخر. طبعا بالنسبة لنا it is very fast, but بالنسبة للسي بي يو now the CPU talks in what يا شباب؟ We measure the speed of the CPU in what?
Gigahertz.
In gigahertz, صحيح؟ Okay? Or but when we talk about this movement, we talk about in milliseconds. So we say this is 8 milliseconds. 8 milliseconds بالنسبة للسي بي يو is a lot of time. سنين. معي ولا إيه؟ Okay? So in fact, one of the scientists said like this one. If the CPU was a human being, لو كان السي بي يو كان بني آدم, bring him information from the hard disk into them, because the CPU will not look at the information unless it comes to the memory. انت اخذتوا الحاجات دي صحيح؟ اخذتوا الاي سي اس؟
No.
ما اخذتش 233.
Some of us
الا اخذناه في
didn't
233
take
دكتور.
So to bring information from the hard disk to the register, to the memory, to the register, it takes time. it takes time. صحيح؟ طبعا بالنسبة لنا it looks very fast. أما بالنسبة للسي بي يو يقول لك to bring information from the disk وتحط لي اياها في الرام في الميموري from the disk to the RAM. بالنسبة للسي بي يو لو كان السي بي يو بني آدم كان أنت عارف إيش السي بي يو كان حس بأنه إنك أنت رحت له بلوتو. You know what بلوتو is يا شباب؟ كوكب البلوتو.
Of course. Yes.
لو كان السي بي يو بني آدم الروحة للديسك إذا كأنها الروحة للبلوتو بالنسبة لنا آدم. It's a lot of time. معي ولا يا شباب؟ عشان كده الداتابيزز are very slow because of this. Any question here before I let you go? Before we stop. Any question here? So getting information from a disk is very bad. We hate it because it takes a lot of time. It's like going to Pluto if CP was a human being. Is this point clear? And who is the one who's creating this problem? The SIG movement. SIG movement will be آخرنا. A rotational delay will latency بآخر لكن not the SIG movement. The SIG movement is the one because the SIG movement we really talk about in milliseconds. It takes a lot of time. So that's why
the mechanical aspect is the
it is mechanical, exactly, because it's not electronic, it is mechanical. In fact,
not electronic. Okay.
Exactly. That's why it takes a lot of time. It's a mechanical movement. عشان كده ياخذ وقت. عشان كده moving the arms from one track to another track is like going to Pluto. It takes a lot of time. عشان كده إن شاء الله in ICS 431 operating system they will show you how to minimize the movement of what? Of the arm. كيف تقللها يعني. So they have 6 or 7 different algorithms and they will talk about إن شاء الله when you go to ICS 431 they will show you how to minimize the movement هذه. And we'll talk about that one inshallah later on. Now have you heard about fragmentation؟ الديسك حقك ترى fragmented لما يقول لك ايش هو؟ تتذكر؟ سمعتوا الحاجات الكلام هذا؟
Fragmentation of a disk.
Of a disk يقول لك عملوا defrag صحيح؟
Yes.
I don't know whether you have done it. لأنه what does it mean? It means that the file
through the operating system.
Exactly. So what you do is you have to defrag it. What does defrag mean? معناته is the files that you are reading they are scattered in many tracks, not in one track. معي ولا إيه؟ So what happens is when you are reading a file you have to go to track number 50 then track number 1000 then عشان تجمع المعلومات اللي في اللي هنا اللي في الفايل حقك هذه. Instead of putting them in only one track they are in many tracks. معناته ايش؟ when you have your file is saved in many tracks what it means is you have to make a lot of movement بتاعت الارم. A lot of sick movement حيكون كثير وهذا يأخر جدا يعني. عشان كده يقول لك ايش؟ when your disk is slow maybe one thing is go and defragment it يعني. What does defragment mean? Means take the files and try to put them in the same track or in the same cylinder. So this way you don't have to make a lot of sick movements. Sick movement is a movement done by the arm. We call that one a sick movement. So this is what it means defragment. Okay, Shabab? I hope you understood it. Yani. Any question?
Doctor,
yes,
are
please.
there database that work in SSDs rather
oh,
than
yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, in fact, now all the new databases, in fact, they are putting them in memory حتى. فهمت علي? SSD is fast, okay? But memory is faster. So now we have a lot of new databases. We call them memory-based databases, okay? Not disk-based databases, okay? But you are a very expensive computer. You need a bigger memory, okay? We like disk because it's cheap, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, Shabab. I think I will stop here. And if you have any questions, okay, because I have a meeting, I have to go. If you have any questions, I have office hours today. You are welcome to come there, inshallah. Barakallah fikum. Okay. Okay.
Okay, but can we have a small question here?
Yeah, sure. We still have
regarding
1 minute.
The project. Yes, regarding the project. The project is due to week 14.
Week
but
14
the deadline is
for the report. But the demo is week 15.
Okay, but the report deadline is 12th December.
So that's week 15.